Back again with another Alchemy Stars lore video, where we look back at the main story of the game, where things continue to get more and more intense. So let's take a look at what our cast goes through in episode 5. The episode starts off by showing what seems to be a council room within the uptown of Lumopolis. There we meet Swat, ruler of Lumopolis and Carlene's father. His ancestors are said to be among those that helped in creating Lumopolis, and eventually, generation after generation, the responsibility to rule over the floating city was given to him. And although he often shows himself to be stern and serious, he's also someone who cares much for the people he cares about, be it his citizens or his family. At the start of episode 5, we get a short conversation between Swartz and Carlene, where she mentions of her assistant navigator in going against the threat of Scummer and the Eclipsites. Changing scenery, we move over to a Illumina Federation base, where Navigator and Vice finds himself in a meeting between Legion commanders. First, let's start off with Vivian, Chief of Staff of Illumina Federation, one of the main personnel that keeps Illumina running orderly, holding meetings to discuss next course of action, organizes important files and documents, leads the soldiers of Illumina, and many more. Vivian does a lot for the Federation and is a very well beloved figure, and she also has a dragon partner named Curie. Cute little guy he is. Next is Serona, First Legion Commander, born in Lumopolis from the Katrina family, a family born of a dragon bloodline. At first he was to be a knight of Lumopolis, but became disgusted with seeing how much of the nobles treated the citizens. That's when she left and joined Illumina, and after continuous fighting, her body began to develop dragon traits just as her tail. And finally we have Barton, Second Legion Commander, easily the most energetic of the Legion Commanders, a military man in every cell in his body who loves fighting more than anything. Always the main one of the commanders who's ready to jump in headfirst into a battle, and oftentimes tries his hardest to get Navigator to join his legion. In this meeting, everyone was discussing about the increased number of Eclipsite attacks, and Vice mentioned Scummer's plan in collecting the 3 modules. Unfortunately, none of the commanders are able to help, as they're more focused on the frequent sites of high-level Eclipsites. Thanks to this, Navigator and Vice were stuck on what to do next. That's when Felicite appears before them. Felicite is the intel chief of Illumina. She's responsible of gathering information for Illumina. Although she seems lazy at first sight, she's actually someone who's very reliable. Another thing to take note of is that she has a second personality named Yumi, who comes off more aggressive and a prankster. Felicite came in and gave Vice a report about a records of a Colossus, and one who seems to still have an autonomous growth unit. Thanks to this, Navigator and Vice makes their way over to the records to retrieve it, which on their way they run into Carlene, who joins them on this mission. When they reach the site, Navigator suddenly sees images of his people. This is because he was picking up psychic remnants of dead Calistites. This indicated that they were on the right path. Finally arriving at the Colossus named Leibowitz, when our group goes inside, they suddenly hear a voice. This turns out to be Gronru. Gronru is the Illumina Federation tech officer, who loves playing video games and is a genius mechanic. She has built all kinds of machinery. You can really call her a one-of-a-kind genius, a real energetic individual and one of the most capable people in Illumina. Gronru was investigating the crashed Colossus. She told us that she found what the autonomous growth unit was and said only Navigator was capable of retrieving it. While they was making their way to the module while fighting Eclipsites, outside Scummer had arrived at the records, looking to retrieve the module as well. As both sides are able to sense that the other is nearby, Navigator and the others make their way to the bridge. As he mind linked with the Colossus to reboot it, Navigator finds himself communicating with a Calistite. Happy that he was able to meet with a descendant, the deceased Calistite helps Navigator. As a song started playing, Navigator started to see illusions of other Calistites, and Leibowitz began to start up, thus appearing the autonomous growth unit. But before they could even grab it, in comes Scummer. After all this time, Navigator finally comes across the perpetrator that led to his people's demise. Overcoming with emotion, he managed to calm himself down, and the groups began ready to fight one another. As they were fighting, Scummer proved to be a tough opponent, but as that was happening, Vice grabbed the autonomous growth unit and Gronru stayed behind to hold back Scummer while the others escaped. Making it back to Shiraz, the group was in a dilemma about whether or not to wait for Gronru. That's when they suddenly receive a message from Gronru's communicator. Scummer is holding her hostage and threatens to kill her if they don't bring back the autonomous growth unit within 30 minutes. As they were stuck on what to do, Navigator came up with a plan. As time was winding down, Scummer was starting to become impatient and was about to kill off Gronru early. That's when our group had snuck up on her. Navigator's plan was to leave Shiraz where he was at to distract Scummer. Meanwhile, they sneaked back inside Leibowitz and hit her with a surprise attack. It seemed like the plan worked and victory was in their hands, but Scummer wasn't out yet. In fact, she became even stronger than before, indicating that she was holding back this entire time. Scummer overwhelmed the group and rendered them unable to fight, making Navigator choose whether to give up the module or let his friends die. With no other choice, Navigator made the exchange, and Scummer now has her hands on 2 modules, leaving to look for the flame control module. Feeling defeated, the group didn't know how to look for the last module, but Navigator came up with a trick. He used his psychic powers to stealthily see where Scummer was without her noticing. finding out that C's at a place called the Whispering Corridors, bringing us the end of episode 5. And that's it for now. A very exciting story chapter. Officially meeting the first major boss for the first time, navigating meeting the first of many walls he's going to face on this journey of his, and it continues to be an exciting story as our enemy is getting closer and closer to her goal. Re-experiencing the story again has been really fun, so tune in for when I talk about the group's next challenge in episode 6. May the truth bless you.